more people are here.
So I couldn't believe it when my stylist, Scotty Peepaw, told me the bass player from Butthole Surfers and Melvins had moved to Candler. That's just up the hill from me a few miles. There are lots of little churches up in there, and as unlikely as it might have sounded to me at the time, one of those churches belongs to a genuine rock and roll hero. I was introduced to the Pinkus Fear by my friend Nick Marshall, who brought me as his +1 to their annual Bull Star party. Brave words, bloody knuckles, fiendish plots, and diabolical minds. J.D. Pinkus, like that night, is a blur. I looked the man in the eye. I found him to be straightforward and trustworthy. And down at the Frijoliness Church of J.D. and Camille Pinkus, I was able to get a sense of his soul. J.D., are you here?
I am here. I was just wondering, then why did you say you couldn't do this till after 4? You said that's all you had to do today was interview me. We could have done this like hours ago, man.
Yeah, we easily could have. I'm just kind of like stringing you along.
Damn. All right. All right.
Yeah.
Well, the later in the day it gets, the wilier I get. So,
well, you see my strategy here.
yeah. Okay. All right. I got you.
All right.
I know
Hey,
what you're stepping in.
so give me a musical biography or any kind of biography you want, short or long.
Oh, okay.
Who are you?
There's a guy named Danny Barnes. He's a real badass banjo player from Waco, Texas. I believe he was first born, and he played all kind of instruments, and then not all kind of, but all kinds of instruments. And banjo became really good with his style, and he learned everybody's style. It was like John Hartford, all that. And then he did Bad Livers, which opened for my band, Butthole Surfers. Not my band, I just happened to be in it. And then he did solo stuff on top of that, and then he inspired me to do some solo banjo stuff with his Barnyard Electronica stuff. Is that a good enough bio for Danny Barnes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
He really is.
I don't have much of a bio myself, man. When someone asks me that, I'll just use someone else's.
No, that works. He's great. Tell me more about yourself, Danny.
No, up with him, I might be able to do that, man.
Man, Bad Livers absolutely opened my my horizons. First time I heard them, I was like, I'd never thought about string music like that before. You know what I mean? It's like, this is amazing. These are some of the best stuff, is inspiring.
They were so good. I used to see them every Monday night. They play the Saxon Pub for free. And I go out there with my buddy Richie from Agony Column and some other folks. And Richie would get up there and sing Mountain Dew with him in his fucking, heavy metal voice. And they would play, they played a bunch of Sabbath and Iggy Pop and just all kinds of crazy stuff. And then the originals were just amazing. And Ralph Wyatt was playing with him back then, who actually has graced the church. And he would play the song Mole in the Ground that I love to hear every time. In fact, that was my first request when he's like, anyone want to hear anything? I was like, Mole in the Ground, because he was totally that guy.
Oh, man. Yeah, I got to see him once. Danny Barnes produced a record by some friends of mine called the Greasy Beans, and they had a great time with him and said he really helped them out. I got to see like a banjo seminar with him at the Pickathon in the Northwest once. And he's really interesting guy.
Yeah. He's not a people person, but that's
no.
That's just here. We all have our like personal space boundaries and stuff, and being a musician, that's which I know this is kind of what we talked about getting into. This dialogue when I asked you, I was like, well, what's your angle with the podcast? And I believe you told me it was like navigating this lifestyle and mental health in this lifestyle, and I might be wrong. I might be totally wrong with that. But he definitely fits into a spectrum of somebody who is just in it for the music. He loves music. Music has saved him. Music has done so much for him in his life. But the whole social public life thing is not his thing. Especially the Bad Livers. He obviously he doesn't drink anymore. So being around people and being totally sober, especially when they're all messed up, is definitely can be taxing. When you know people are going to be asking you questions that you're going to answer and that they're going to have no idea they even talked to you the next day.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets kind of vampiric, they're just kind of like taking your energy a
It
little
kind of
bit.
makes it fun for me because I know nobody's going to remember what I said. So I can say the most fucked up shit and they'll just be like, he was fucked up, man. He said some fucked up shit, dude. And they won't remember any of it, but they'll remember the spirit,
I love that. It's like this conversation that started off as one way for them, you turned into kind of like a game for yourself.
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah, totally. That's the
just
way to
amusing
deal with it, man. Oh, God, it's got to be. I mean, it started that way with interviews. And, like when I was doing interviews with Butthole Surfers, we get asked the same stupid questions all the time. Where'd you get your name? And, whatever. My parents gave it to me. I don't know. But, you get the same shit. So you realize that you can take over the interview and make it fun for yourself and entertaining for yourself, and by in some ways just sharpening your social skills.
Yeah, well, and extending your creative self too. Like that's part of the creative process, is just coming up with stuff on the fly in a conversation.
Yeah,
making
because
it work.
some people think about the stuff and write it down, and then they spout it off with a piece of paper that they thought about it all the time. And then you're on the other end, and you need to come up with an answer, not say too many uhs and ums while you're doing it. So it gets to be a challenge, but it is a lot of it is. I think it really helps you in life when the more conversations like that you go through. I learned stuff from John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin when he produced our Independent Worm Saloon album. We went out. This is back when he first came out to hang out with us, and he actually smoked weed with us and drank with us, and we went out and took him to a titty bar even, and we did all kinds of stuff with John Paul Jones. Poor guy. We drove him to quit drinking, actually. But yeah, he said we were hanging out one night outside at a park, and somehow there was this really intelligent dancer that was out there, and she waited around a long time for everybody to kind of quit talking to him, and then she got up and she sat down in his lap, and she goes, "If I was a guy and a bass player, I'd want to be you." And he goes, "Yeah, nice choice." And that was all she had to say. And she had thought about saying that to him for a long time. This is what he told me. And so he said by agreeing with her, he wouldn't have to say anything else. If he tried to be humble about it, then she would try to convince him in the ways of why he was, so great or whatever. So it was interesting to see, like, from a guy from the band Led Zeppelin, how he dealt with people that wanted to talk with him, but he didn't necessarily want to have a full conversation with.
And right, without because he seems like a really gracious person too, and so you don't want to just shut people down because you're a kind person,
Yeah, exactly. And this was a way to shut them down because they didn't have anything. If you agreed with him, he said, they wouldn't have anything else to ask him. They wanted him to be like, "Oh, no, there's so many other bass players out there you could be, and it doesn't have to be a guy. You could be a girl and a bass player too. It could go any direction." But he wanted to cut it off quick, so he just said, "Nice choice."
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And he sounds smart enough to realize, like, this one person's, like, they're going to remember this for the rest of their life. They're going to take this with them. So the experiences are what they want. Is like, you know what, you got it. Thanks. It's like, we're good, right?
I think so, but she might have killed herself. I don't know. No, I'm kidding.
Right? He didn't say enough.
I don't know. I don't really know what happened to her much after that.
Well, maybe we'll find out. Maybe we'll find out after this. That's interesting. So, do you drive yourself to most of your gigs, your solo gigs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I see your videos on Instagram. It's looks like you just have a camera on the dash and going from gig to gig, right?
Yeah. I pretty much like do it from where my Waze is. I like or whatever. What I usually use Waze, I guess, to navigate my way through, so I don't have to think. I used to have to look at maps, the lost art of folding a map. But yeah,
tells you where the cops are now.
Yeah, so I'll get into a big straight part of the road with some nice scenery and angle the camera a little bit, and then it entertains me to be able to update everybody and folks who actually care about me, like the fact that I'm letting them know I'm okay, because I don't know if you realize this, but some folks worry about me when I'm out by myself on the on the road. I have no idea why.
I can think of one, yeah.
Yeah, but so to me it's nice to do that, and I think it adds a genuineness to what they think is going on when you're traveling and what's really going on.
Right.
And there's hours and hours and hours of time by yourself.
Yeah.
And you do it too, So I mean, to me, it's like I don't listen to a lot of music when I'm driving. In fact, my stereo is all messed up. If I do listen to something, it's like a little Bluetooth thing that someone gave me that I put on. But I'm usually in my own head, and I think that's what the beauty of being on the road for hours is to be in your own head. And sometimes if thoughts get out of control, I'll put on like Atlanta sports radio or something like that, just to hear about how screwed the Falcons and the Braves are for a while. And it's just it's kind of like listening to people talk, like being at a restaurant by yourself and the people next to you are having a lively conversation, but you're on the road by yourself, and it's nice to hear people enjoying each other's company. So that's like my way to reach out a little bit, to do some of those things. And the truck has become an extension of me. I think it's not going to do this next tour I do. And I will actually be taking someone with me on this next tour to help out with merchandise. It's a bigger tour, and last time I did a bigger tour with these guys, it was a lot of work for one person to work. There were some of these venues were pretty large, so to set up, do the sound check, go sell merch, go down, get my stuff ready to get on stage, go on stage, play the show, get everything off of the stage, go run straight back up to merch and try and make a living. And so that was every night. This time they were offering me a little bit more money. I think they realized, I was sleeping in the back of my truck, and they all thought I was wearing the same clothes. I'm just like I guess Camille said I'm like Einstein. I guess he only wore like one kind of outfit. So I've got like a few of the same pants and a bunch of the same white T-shirts and white thermal shirts. So it looks, and I'm sure I smell anyways, but it looks like I'm wearing the same thing to these people I'm touring with all the time, which they used to inform me when they were done with the laundry units that there's a washer and dryer open. I'd be like, I'm good. Which wasn't what they wanted to hear. But,
who's that tour with you're doing coming up?
That was Clutch and Helmet and Quicksand. And I was opening on the banjo. And this next one is going to be Clutch with COC and me opening up with the banjo. But they give me a bit of more of a budget, so I'm going to rent out a van. I'm going to take a fella who wants to come out with me on the road to do merch for me, and so I'll be able to breathe a little bit on the tour, which will be nice,
Yeah. So if there's not someone else there with you, usually, are you and your radio doesn't work? Are you sitting there for hours in silence?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I love it. Yeah,
just raw dogging.
It's like when people say, nice show or whatever. It's like he's like, oh, well, obviously you didn't listen to my third and seventh song, asshole. Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking about the next day. Is why did I fuck that up, man? I could have done that better. They weren't really paying attention. But no, I've learned not to take good show or bad show from anybody as anything. My shows are pretty abstract as they are. So, but to me, it's a lot of it is I don't know. I like getting in my head. I'm pretty. It's like it's its own planet. It's got a Denny's there. I think maybe Waffle House. I go hang out there a while I'm driving.
Who's in
And
charge? Who's in
yeah,
charge of the city in your head?
yeah. I'm the mayor. Yeah. So yeah, no, I think that's great. That's one of my favorite things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not on social media. I'm not promoting, that, and also I'm doing those videos to help promote the shows, which is
Sure.
what the venues want me to do. And so that's part of it. But a lot of people do that, and it's almost forced.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. There's a trick to trying to get it to where it's nice and relaxed, and
Yeah.
not being forced. And I don't know. I think some folks get a little camera shy,
Yeah. Or the opposite.
or the opposite. Yeah, I've seen
they
a
get
lot.
it. They get a little too chummy with the camera.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a
yeah.
fine line. So, you said you're staying in your. Well, I guess not this upcoming tour, but you stay in your truck. It's a pretty big. It's a
I
big Ford, right?
Yeah, it's a F1. It's an F-150 extended cab with a
Yeah.
6 foot. But yeah, I'm not going to take that because I'm it's getting a little older, and these drives are going to be kind of long. I'm going to be chasing buses again,
Mm-hmm.
so I've decided to rent a vehicle for me and my buddy to go. If it was just me, I might just go ahead and do the truck, but because I don't care if I get stuck for a day somewhere. I'll
Sure.
figure it out, which has happened before. But on this one, I'm going to be a little bit more professional and take a rental van. And I've been stocking up on these really cool one of a kind shirts from a guy who used to do stuff with the Butthole Surfers, and actually lives in our old house in Driftwood, Texas. That the last place we lived together, and he's been living there ever since. But he did me some it's not even shirts. I mean, like there should be framed
Mm-hmm.
with the way that they do that stuff. Uh, but uh, but yeah, he does these crazy styles. So I've got like a good strong merch game. You got to work up to
Yeah.
go on the tour, because nobody wants just the black and white shirt.
Yeah.
Uh, I think you got to be really entrepreneurial about touring, especially nowadays. People don't really have that much money, and it looks like shit's going to get a little bit more expensive with an ongoing conflict overseas.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what people are going to have when they got to put more money in the gas tank or any of that stuff. But to me, I'm like trying to provide one of a kind stuff so that hopefully they'll see it as art as well as something that they can wear,
Yeah.
and something that will be worth more the longer they keep it. Because
Sure.
his stuff doesn't go down in value,
Yeah.
even if you sweat it out and bust a hole in it with some, like a cherry off your joint falls on it. That's people want it even more then.
Well, yeah, and getting to the expense of touring, either on your own or with a little bit of help, it does take some money out of the bank to do it. It sounds, and like you said, it's not going to be getting any cheaper. And
Yeah.
to do it by yourself seems like it's way more practical. And like your show
Oh,
doesn't, it isn't missing anything. It's not like, oh, I'd love to hear this with drums, or I'd love to hear this with an electric guitar. It's its own thing. It like I can't imagine putting like a 6-7 piece polyphonic spree kind of thing on the road by yourself. It's like
oh yeah.
the amount of money
I
that
think they
would.
had 28 guys in the band actually.
Christ.
Yeah, because
But
I
like it's
recorded one time up there at their studio up in Denton,
uh
and that's when I was like, "How do you guys get paid? There's like
huh
28 of you, you know."
uh
But yeah, I mean, same with like Guar, all that.
huh
I mean, people, I mean, the way I always tell people is you got, and you understand this yourself. You got to live within your boundaries of what you set up for yourself.
yeah
I have no interest in buying a brand new Ford F-150. I'm much happier with my '91. I don't even trust those new ones that are out. You've seen where I live. You see how I live. I live within my means, and I'm happy that way. And nobody tells me what to do. And
yeah
to me, it's all about budgeting all that stuff.
I think a little necessity goes a long way. Honestly, like taking why I like folk-based music, which I put rock and roll into, is that there's a lot of restrictions on it. Especially when you're talking like blues or country or old time, and those restrictions to me are kind of a propellant. It's like, oh, okay, I have limited means. What can I do with these? I've got a stick and a bucket of water. What kind of music can I make with this? Yeah. It's like, it's going to be way more interesting if I've got than if I have a full Pro Tools kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
For me anyway. And so it's like, if my means are, I can only do it by myself, then okay, bet. Let's see what we do.
That's what I did for better or worse. People are like, when are you going to be back at your merch table? I'm like, well, as soon as I wrap up all these cables and put all these boxes back and get all my shit out of their way, then I'll work my way back up there and become a t-shirt salesman.
Or if you couldn't afford to tour at all, like that itself would be a restriction. Like, okay, well now this is my reality. How am I going to be how can I satisfy that creative urge without being able to tour? And
there's different ways to look at that, because I mean, obviously we live in a market system here in the States, and if you've got money and you got backing, then that doesn't count. But if you're like starting from scratch and trying to get around, you got to really have a product. I don't think if I just came out and was doing just my banjo shit and I hadn't done anything else, I hadn't worked with Melvins or Butthole Surfers or Healy's Creed or any of those other bands, then I don't think people would even give it as much of a listen. But the fact that they take it to another topic is music is very overwhelming nowadays, because now you have all the Apple Music and Spotify's and all those things. So you can pretty much look up any kind of music. You don't have enough time in the day to even look it up, to even listen to it. So people, what I had heard from someone a while back, they get so overwhelmed, they just go back to the bands they used to listen to and see what those people from that band are up to. And it's much easier to wrap your brain around that than just just mindlessly trying to find something out of millions and millions of, and it doesn't take much money to get on Spotify.
Well, because it's got some context for them. You know what I mean?
That's what helps me out. I mean, it's not like I didn't pay my dues. I thought my due paying should have been over years ago. You should have talked to me when I was 26.
Yes. Well, sometimes you pay the dues, sometimes the dues pay you.
And I've been through both of them, and happily. But to me, bottom line is you're only as good as your last record, as far as yourself in the business. You could, as far as the
business goes,
you could have done the best records 25 years ago, whatever. Nobody, people, just too much. It's overwhelming. People aren't going to remember you. Yeah, if you're still trying to keep that business going.
Yeah, so, I've always maintained that striving for, if you're going to strive for anything, which is debatable, is cult status, because then you're going to hit a plateau and just going to stay there for until the internet doesn't work anymore.
I remember hearing. Well, I mean, obviously people have said that with Butthole Surfers and probably with Melvins, even though I didn't start either one of those bands. But when I being a founding member of the band Honky, and we played overseas with the Peter Pan Speed Rock guys, we'd always see those words in our cult heroes Honky over there, and we didn't understand it at all. That was like that. We're just happy to get a show. And and then other people are like, you'll never get a chance to see this band again. They got this cult following, which was kind of true. We did, Honky was more of a cult following kind of thing than definitely. And we weren't, just the name Honky. Like back then, it wasn't as big of a deal. But like I tell people now, the name Honky is more offensive than Butthole Surfers to people, which really blows my mind.
But,
and my mind's not easy to blow, man.
Well, what would you do if you couldn't tour? It sounds like you're the opposite of what a lot of people consider the grind, which is getting from point A to point B with your rest comes on stage. It sounds like you get a lot out of touring and the silence and the being in your own head and kind of like processing.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like what I mean. Do you imagine a world where you weren't driving around the country for half the year by your?
Not anymore. I used to, but I'm older now. I love my wife. I love my dogs. I love my son who's not too far away from here. And I love being able to entertain folks with the church that we got out here as a community thing. And like I said, living within my means, being home would be the thing I love traveling and playing music once I get out there. But it's that whole thing. It's like I don't want to take a shower, but once you get me in one, I ain't coming out for a long time. And so that's the way touring is for me. I don't want to get out on the road, but as soon as I'm out on the road, man, as soon as I see like my trash bins in the rear view mirror, I'm like, I'm not gonna be taking those to the curb for a while. I'm just gone. And
I love it.
yeah. That's the mode your brain goes into, and I really do think the more you stay at home, the less you want to leave,
Sure.
which is a dangerous thing as a musician. So I love being able to wait for a good opportunity to go out on the road by keeping my overhead low. And by that, I mean we have no running water in the schoolhouse that we sleep in. We have a foot pump sink, and we have our electricity where we cook in there, and then we go to the Airstream where the running water in the shower and the running water shitter is, because we got a compost and a RV one in the schoolhouse. But we go there to clean the dishes and we'll clean ourselves and do all that. I have no problem with that, but I could see a lot of people having a problem with that. I mean, you know how cold it just got out here. We have
Yeah.
no insulation. We're
Yeah.
okay with that. We get, I think it's really do you want to be told what to do by the man and try and play some game to keep up with the Joneses or whatever they call that term or whatever, or do you want to live your own life and you don't have some of the niceties that other people might talk about. I would love to, I've got an old 78 BMW motorcycle. Well, it's not running right now, but I rode it I bought that one in 1998, I think. But I've never been on a jet ski. I mean, I want to be on a real jet ski, not a wave runner. I've never been on a wave runner either. But, these are the things that you have to forego to have a lifestyle where nobody tells you what the fuck to do.
Huh.
And I think if that's more important to you than being on a wave runner or a jet ski, which I'm telling you, I would love to. If anyone listens to this and has either one of those and wants to take me out to Lake James or Lake Laurel when they fill it up.
I, I can help you there. My buddy Jamie Sterling has a couple of jet skis out there on
Dude, jet skis or wave runners?
Lake Fontana jet skis.
The ones you stand on?
Yeah, no.
That's a wave runner. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you got to sit down.
Yeah, no, which is cool. I'm really cool with that too. But the ones I like are the stand up ones that they used to have, which are really jet skis. And those guys, I watch them pop flips and stuff.
They don't make those anymore, do they?
Yeah, Polaris does.
Oh man, I thought they were illegal.
Do not get in there. Oh my God. Okay, well maybe he'll find that thing that's making noise under our house.
You know what you were saying about the jet ski thing, though, reminds me. A friend of my folks worked for the Bill Graham Foundation. He's has been a manager since the '60s. Aaron Neville and all these like really huge people. And we were talking one day around the fire pit, and he's like, to do this for real. And this was years ago. He's like, there's you don't really get a plan B. You might have one forced on you, but you can forget about white picket fences, and jet skis. Because
that's funny, man. It's funny you said that really struck a tone with me when you said that you can be made to. and you kind of can be made to. And it was like, during COVID, I was made to. I sold all my, stuff that I never look at, Butthole Surfers shirts I never wore from way back when. I'm amazed at what people would pay for that stuff. But, and I was selling as much of my stuff as I could, online. I did pretty good with that. People were really good with that. But I was also doing demo work, for folks, and I got put into a position where even more than I just wanted to work it like 2 or 3 days a week, helping some folks out for some cash. And all of a sudden, someone was like, "Hey, dude, I got us a gig for like 6 weeks," and I was like, "I don't really want to work for 6 weeks, man. That's So yeah, I mean, you can kind of be forced into it by situations or things that happen, but yeah, I mean, I'm not. I mean, I'm qualified to do what I do. I guess I can record people. I can do live sound. I can, I can make my own records. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really not. I mean, I worked at a ranch for a while, and we were handyman, fix-it guys. But my boss was the guy who told me what to do. It wasn't.
Well,
It wasn't like I was like he went to school for that shit. I learned from him how to do some stuff. I know enough to get me in trouble doing anything, but nobody wants to hire me out to do like that full job.
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
learn a lot with this church here. I'm telling you, because I can't afford help. So we're gonna be doing a lot of hands-on this thing.
Well, yeah, let's talk about the church, because I was going to say that kind of folds right into what you were just saying. You've done a lot with this place, and I've been lucky enough to be there, hang out, and play. But can you tell folks who might be wondering what we're talking about?
Yeah, because people they hear church and they think religion and stuff, and
Your neighbor sure does.
yeah, and so I mean, it is a church physically. It's a church. It lost the community that was here years ago, and as the covenant says, as soon as you leave the church, it's on you to go find some people, like-minded people, to find another place to convene at. And we like that up here because we weren't trying to start anything religious over here. We don't mind if anyone is. The only thing I don't dig is the overly Satan stuff. Like everybody likes it. Satan this, Satan that. Satan is 666. Whatever. My sister's a preacher. I'm really like I might have my own spiritual beliefs and all that, but I mean, if you really were to believe in God and the devil, I don't know. Anyways, the one thing I don't like having out here is people that make fun of religion in general and make fun of what some people really hold on to, and it helps them through their lives. And I think that it's all intertwined, no matter what your beliefs are. Like I said, mine's spiritual. I don't have the same the same things that most of the churches here around here have. So it's just the part I do like about the church that we try and do here is the fellowship, and just a place for folks to come together to play music for the people in the community, and a place for the people in the community to come and be themselves. And there's no door entry. Everybody tips the musical acts that are playing. We don't take any money. We give Jello shots. Oh, I just said not to make fun of things, and here I am going to. We do Jello shots for the blood and hot dogs for the flesh. So I guess we do make fun of it a little bit, but it's just more of us wanting to give something to the people that show up.
I think God has a pretty healthy sense of humor.
I would hope so, and so yeah, so it's been nice to share the place with like-minded people, and folks that can come in and enjoy themselves and have a day. We did the shows when the time is right. We do the I guess what we do 4 to 7 on Sundays, because we want people. We don't want to interrupt. Have cool acts play instead of playing at a club and a venue that's a business. We don't want to take away from that. So to us, our thing is 4 to 7 on Sundays when the stars align. and that way people can go out and go to another place after it's done. They can recover from the Saturday night that they had somewhere else in town. And it's nice that some of the people that run venues and stuff support us and come out actually to see the shows. And that's kind of what we're trying to be, is a community that's been very welcoming to us. It's nice to be able to give back a little bit.
Yeah, and the music you have there, I've been lucky enough to see a few shows there, and you and I have talked about the idea of gospel music in general, and my belief that gospel music is more a verb than a noun. So, like the music that you have there is pretty well curated. It's across the board genre wise, but it's all like
extremely curated. It's up to me and Camille to decide who we want, and that's what makes it different. That's why we don't charge. It's like, people ask us all the time about playing here, and right now we're in construction, obviously, so we can't do that. But that's something that's like, we talk about everybody. That's why some of the people come back again, because we're like, we really want to have Morgan come back. We really want to have Andy come back. It's just there's certain people that become a fixture with that scene and bring something to the table that we couldn't have brought or even thought of. And so that's what we're trying to do. And with the new construction of this place, which is we have to keep our power on, we have to keep up on our building permit. And we've been stringing that out due to finances and other things, Helene and whatever, about not fixing it up. And then by the time I took everything out, we realized there was a lot more damage and stuff, and had to consult with the engineers and geoengineers in order to come up with a plan to save this building so it's not a single wide sitting on the corner where the school church used to be. Yeah. And so with the help of one of my buddies in town, Jim Oyama, he's helped with a plan, and we're going to actually use part of it as an apartment, and we will have actual running water and a kitchen with running water in part of it. And then there will also be the big open spot that would be, as my friend Jim put it, the fellowship room. But that's where the music will be coming from. And also I plan on putting a studio in there to be able to record some stuff for me and some other folks. And we're also planning on putting in some doors that would be 3 6-foot doors to where we could open it up on the side as well, to where people could be outside and enjoying the music as well. So we're planning on it being a multi-purpose place, and still keeping the schoolhouse and the Airstream.
You were talking maybe a go-kart track too, right?
No, mini bike, but
but
yes, and that is still in the works. But priorities have to come first. And besides that, the one mini bike that I got talked into buying by this lady that was begging me to buy it from her, and I was almost had it fixed up, and someone stole it out of the yard.
Oh, you can.
So that was a message from God, right there.
Yeah. Thank God for unanswered prayers.
Yeah. So anyways, it's exciting for us, and obviously I wish there was a way to make money doing this stuff because it's so much fun. But I'd rather keep it just to where we curate. We do it when people come through town, or musicians that are local have an off Sunday. Everything's good. It's hard to do these things, and we will actually have. We're talking about putting some mini splits in, so we'll actually be able to climate control it a little bit more than it has been, because there's been times where it's been way too hot and way too cold. So it won't be the same, but we still plan on doing similar things. It's just going to be in a slightly different manner, but hopefully it will still provide a fellowship function for the folks out here who want a free place to go hang out, listen to music, and talk with their neighbors.
Yeah, it seems like living up there in the hills is really agreeing with you and Camille.
Oh, definitely. We Yeah, we got one new meth head neighbor. That's kind of a bummer. But yeah, other than that, everything's been pretty sweet up here. All of us on this hill, and I don't know if I ever told you this, but Elvis was going to buy this hill right before he died,
What?
and this church was going to be Elvis's church. He was going to buy the
Elvis
whole.
Presley?
Yes. Well, yeah, that one, not Costello. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, because he used to play in Asheville all the time. And so that was.
He shot the TV in Asheville. That's apparently at the Interstate Motel. So what? So wait, what? He was going to buy that whole area before there was a bunch of houses around there?
No, it was 1970. It was right. It was his estate was looking at it. Did he die 79 or
77? I think
77 or 78, whatever that was, right around there. Because the guy that we purchased this land from, and believe me, some of these folks tell tall tales. But this is a beautiful hill, the one that we live on up here. In fact, they're making a park up at the top of it. But yeah, there's something kind of magical here in a kind of weird way. It's not like all good magic. It's just magic,
Sure. Yeah. Energy.
There's a lot of energy. Yes. Yeah.
What you do with it is up to you.
Exactly. And when we first got this place, Camille's friends came from all over to purify and to try and talk to the whatever spirits they felt like were in here. And I mean, I feel good in there, and I feel like it's going to be. And there was a guy that was shot up the hill that they drug through this property and threw him down the hill below us. But no one, and there was a suicide above our schoolhouse. So yeah, but no one was actually murdered here on the property. So
what denomination was it?
It was the Frijoliness Church of West Asheville, but it also is the Mountain View Church, according to some of the papers we've seen. Okay. But it was the Frijoliness. That's why we call it the Frijoliness Church. But it was Free Holiness. And it basically, when we did our research, girls had to wear skirts that covered their knees. It was kind of a mixture of different religions, I guess. But it was here for 100 years. 1925, it was built.
Damn.
So that's why it's no surprise that the load-bearing walls are in some bad shape over here. They could cut our power off, which they haven't yet, and we put the new plans in, and had the engineers out. So hopefully it'll remain the creepy church at the top of the hill.
Thanks for taking the time to do this. I really do appreciate it.
Morgan.
I'll see you soon.
All right, brother. You take good care. Thanks, man.
J.D. Pinkus, ladies and gentlemen. He of Butthole Surfers, Melvins, Honky, Daddy Longhead, and The Jackofficers. His newest release, Grow Up Hair, is available on Shimmy Disc. JD starts a solo banjo tour with Clutch and Corrosion of Conformity this week on their Suffer No Evil tour. Go check them out if you get a chance.
Take a look at yourself in the mirror and stop crying now.
Support for this podcast comes from you, the listener, through my Patreon page, patreon.com/Drunken Prayer.
I'm Colonel Castle, and this is the House of Morgan.
You got 5 minutes to finish the drink to get the fuck out of here?
Yeah.